Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Travel with Terri podcast, featuring Terri Guthrie, a Dallas, Texas-based travel journalist who loves to talk about luxury family vacations, regional food and culture, national parks, historic attractions, and so much more. So welcome, everyone. It is time for another episode of Travel with Terri. We are here every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time, and that's U.S. Central Time, USA. And today, Terri is taking us to an tropical island paradise. She's taking us to Salterra, and this is a luxury collection resort and spa, which is a proud member of the Marriott Bonvoy in Turks and Caicos. So we're going to find out actually, where is the Turks and Caicos? We may all talk about it, see that beautiful water, but do we know where it is? So welcome back, Terri. How are you?
Well, thank you, Lisa. I'm fine. And I'm even better just daydreaming about being at the Turks and Caicos and Salterra Resort and Spa.
I know when you think about it, it's, summer's here. Y'all, can you feel it? It's getting a little sweaty. And then I think, being in a tropical paradise where there's ocean breeze and you can just dip in that beautiful water. Year round, please. I'm just year round. I mean, so this is interesting. So Turks and Caicos, you went directly, you can go from Dallas. Is that what happened? Or did you go from Miami?
Well, I actually went from Miami. And the cool thing about it is that South Caicos has a brand new airport. And so you've got excellent service there with American Airlines to South Caicos, which is where Salterra is. And so this is considered one of their American Airlines vacations. So they actually have, American Airlines has 70 different cities that go in, or flights rather, that service right into Miami to go into the Caribbean. And Turks and Caicos is one of them. They have one that they've had on the north side of the islands for a while, but this one in South Caicos is brand new, like just opened this year, as is Salterra is also brand new. They just opened in March.
Wow. So where you went, you were like one of the first people, to get out there.
Yes, we were. I know everything was very, very shiny and new. And that was very cool to be one of the first guests there. Actually, while we were there, we got to be part of their grand opening ceremony and celebration. And that was something very special.
Oh, that is so cool. How long did it take you just thinking about that flight then? Like if it's that easy to get to, like from Miami?
Yeah.
It was like the same day.
It is, but it's, it's worth it. And it all goes pretty well. Once you get on the flight, it's pretty easy. So it was a 2-hour flight from Dallas, Fort Worth, down to Miami. And then we had like an hour and a half layover. And then I think the flight then on down there was maybe just a little over an hour. It wasn't that long. It's just 500 miles. And they're just south of, of the Bahamas, just north of Puerto Rico. And so an interesting thing is that they're technically in the Atlantic Ocean, even though it's considered, part of the Caribbean islands and all that. But I thought that was interesting that it is really technically in the Atlantic Ocean, but it's not as far away as I had thought it might be.
Oh, that is cool for people to know. It's there's a new airport there. So you got a new airport, you got a new resort. And I wanted to go into were you able to walk from your room to the beach? This is important.
Yes. Well, I was. In fact, let me tell you, the beach is very close to from our rooms, but also just a note, the airport is very close to the resort. You know how a lot of times you get to the airport and it takes like forever to get somewhere? This, honestly, it's like 5 minutes. I don't think I've ever had a shorter drive to get to Salterra. So that was very cool. I was thrilled about that because you don't have to factor in, a long drive or a lot of traffic. And when you get to Salterra, every single room faces the ocean, which I love. They have 100 rooms and they have lots of suites and different levels. But if you get a suite, it comes with a butler service 24 hours.
Here's where you get your luxury going, girl.
Salterra is luxury, personified. It absolutely is. They have thought of everything. And I just, I don't know that I've ever stayed in a more luxurious place, but the accommodations and the property are just, outstanding. And you want me to tell you a little bit about the property first?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Well, first of all, just to get your bearings also about it. So the Turks and Caicos, that's kind of like a chain of islands, like the Hawaiian Islands, Galapagos. And I think they're called archipelago. I can't say it. The archipelago. Yeah, which means a string of islands. That's a tongue twister for me. And so they're just kind of scattered about, and the South Caicos is the one there on the end. It's the seventh largest of the Turk and Caicos Islands. So, and there's only like about 1,000 people on this island, and they have lots of churches, and it's a very safe and beautiful place. But and let me just tell you, Salterra means, obviously we know what salt means, which we'll get to in a minute, and terra means earth or terrain, or the grounds. So anyway, you'll hear why they named it that here in a minute, but this is just this gorgeous property. They have the best beach area in the entire islands there. 3,000 feet of private pristine sand that's just, waiting for you to explore. So the property, it has nothing else around it. So it's just very peaceful. This peaceful, just driving from the airport, because you don't have any traffic. And this place is not overdeveloped, stretch of the imagination. But when we pulled up, I loved the whole look and whole vibe of this place. I thought their architecture was just beautiful. They really, really embrace the feel and the essence of the island by using all these natural materials. Their designers, the architect and the interior designers, I just think did an exceptional job. I actually got to meet the interior designer. She was from Miami. And I told her, I said, girl, you did not miss a detail. I just was so impressed with it. Like, they did so much, like with wood and just all, natural products, materials. And like when you walk into the lobby, well, they have these beautiful wooden doors, and then they have like these chairs and seats that are, some of them are like just made out of like the side of a tree with the whole root system there. I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah, no, but it's the swampy plants and the beach plants do that. The beach plants do it. It's like runners instead of
stems. It's just so cool. And then they greet you with a cold drink and a cold damp towel as you enter in. And then when you get your key, you don't get just a typical key. You actually get a little bracelet that has like a little wooden charm on it. And I thought that was fun. And so you just put you just wear your bracelet all the time. And you can also wear it in the water, when you're swimming or on the beach or in the shower.
We're going to have a cocktail and forget to get in there.
And you just put it up to your door, and that's how your door opens up. So
nice.
I thought that was really cool. The place is just expansive. They have 4 big pools, and they have a really big hot tub. And then, of course, you see all the different dining rooms and bars and things like that. They actually have, I think, 4 or 5 different restaurants. I believe it's 5. Yeah. And so you can be indoors, outdoors, you can be, eating by the beach with your shoes off, or you can be dressed up, going to like one of their fine dining restaurants called Brine. Brine. And that was really good. We got to eat there one night, and I loved that. They have just the best chefs around. And, of course, they have an extensive wine list. But one of the things I loved, I love that the chef came out and he would personally talk to us about his beautiful chef creations. And of course, so much of it is from the sea. Tropical fruits and things. And they, not only is delicious, it's also beautiful and just so artistically done, which I appreciate so much.
And healthy.
I love taking food. I love taking pictures of food like that. Ron says the camera eats first.
Well, Terri, I swear, when I look at the food, it looks so colorful and healthy and delicious, but fresh and delicious, which I think is great. So I love seeing the pictures there. But I know you talked a little bit about the Terra in Salterra, the name. Can you give us a little overview of like the full name? What does it mean?
Yes. So where the resort gets its name is from the salt, which they have so much of there at South Caicos. They were one of the world's providers of sea salt. That was a huge business and export for them for a long time, for over a century. And so you'll see salt flats all around that area. And it's very interesting to see. And I love how they've incorporated it in their culinary experience at the restaurants, especially at Bryan. That's their high-end restaurant. And as you order there, when you get your food, the different courses, they have salt set up in front of you. And I've never seen anything quite like this, Lisa. I thought it was really cool. So say you have 5 courses, which we did that night. They have just 5 different little bowls of salt. And then the chef comes out, he explains the food to you and where it came from, what area of the island, or, gives you the background on it, and may even tell a little bit about how they prepared it, because some of this food is very, very beautiful and artistically done. And then he tells you about the salt for that course. And I love that. And so then you sprinkle as much of that salt as you want on that particular course. And each one is different. And the chef there, he's actually created this from the salt flats that they have there that they call salinas. And so he has come up with this very customized, curated combination of salts for different type of things, from an appetizer all the way to a dessert. And I love that. And it just really enhance the flavors of everything that we were eating. And that's something too that you can buy when you leave there. You can buy all his different little salts. And I loved that. I thought that was very unique and fun.
Well, this also goes into the wellness side of things, because like I was saying, it sounds so healthy and they understand the land. And we want to talk about what you can do outdoors too. I know there's yoga, but there's spa treatments. Do they bring salt into any of the spa treatments that you saw there? Or I don't know if it's always that healthy for you, but I think salts sometimes are good for you.
Yeah, they do. Oh, they have they use the salt a lot in their spa treatments. Of course, they have an abundance of salt around there. So that's something that's very natural to the island, and then something that's been used there for over centuries. And we all know salt's great for us. So I love how they incorporate salt in everything there. But speaking of the Salterra Spa, it's a new separate building from the property, and it was just beautiful. It has a little bit of everything there, and all different kind of treatments. They have, of course, a men and a women's dressing area. But then when you go outside, there's like a joint pool outside that either can be in. And then they have these different like lanais, little. It's not a cabana. I guess lanai is a better description for it, because it's completely enclosed, but they're individual, different, cutest little buildings where you go to have your treatments done. And then they have, on the end, they have a larger one where couples can get treatments at the same time, which is kind of cool. And that's a very romantic thing, I would think. And I love that, you get there, you're changing your robe, you sit outside, they bring you some tea, some good healing teas, and then, you get kind of prepared mentally and physically for your treatment. And I chose to have a body massage, which I love. And it was just one of the best ever. All of their staff at Salterra have come from like 5-star hotels and resorts. This is not their first rodeo. They are very, very experienced and just so professional, and just make you feel so at ease and at home, and are just the best at being friendly and helpful.
I think that's really huge when you go to spas, because some of us, I'm an introvert when it comes to all that. I'm like, dude, no way, but my body goes, come on, man.
Yeah.
you need help, And so when you get to the right resort, and I think resorts that are of this caliber do such a good job because the people are trained medically. They're trained to have that bedside manner, if you will, that if you're shy, they help you through that in a
Yes.
very kind and, empathetic way, because if you're shy, that doesn't mean you should not get in a pool or not do these things for our bodies and for happiness, but it's hard if you're in the wrong environment. It makes it double hard,
Right, right. Yeah. And I'm sure they see a variety of people. Um, my husband and I love having body massages, and we're probably one of those they don't really have to mess with too much because they're
We're just
totally
like,
comfortable.
please give it to us. Give it to us.
Yeah.
We want it. Yeah. Well,
But
you do so much travel.
I
You need
understand.
it.
In fact, there was somebody in our group that was like, I don't know about this. I'm not too sure about this, but she was saying how instantly they made her feel so comfortable, and she totally relaxed and just enjoyed it so much. Another thing that they have, in the wellness realm that I love was this like sunrise yoga.
Nice.
And I always have good intentions of doing this sunrise yoga, but I don't always follow through on a vacation, because you're wanting to sleep in. But Lisa, I had no excuse because my beautiful suite that I had, which was 1,200 square feet with a outdoor area and hammock and all this stuff. I mean, it was beautiful right on the ocean. I go out my little gate right there, and that's where the yoga class took place. I mean, literally 3 steps from my little outdoor area. So I had no excuse, right?
See, but you feel really good about yourself after, don't you?
I did. And I loved my yoga instructor, who's also a wellness coach. His name is Vishnu. He's from India, and he was just so kind and patient with me and really helped me to have a very enjoyable yoga practice. And I really enjoyed that. And guess what? I did it every single morning. I had yoga with Vishnu every single morning. And I was really proud of myself. That was a lot of fun. And here in Texas, when I do yoga, I'm in a air-conditioned studio. And there, it's a totally different experience because we were on a grassy area right by the beach, but just being outside and that ocean breeze on you. And I remember like laying on my yoga mat and looking up and just seeing the palm trees sway. I mean, wow, if that doesn't just relax you and invigorate you also, I don't know what would. But
that's true nature therapy. I mean, really, I think
I know it was it really was. That was very therapeutic. But they also have bicycles, where you can ride around the property or in town. Place is super safe. They said they basically don't have any crime in this area. There's nowhere to go.
So you can ride around, and what about, because I know you love your national parks, you love your luxury, which this obviously is. And, I know you also look at families, and I know when you travel, like we talked about that when we were talking about Lake Murray State Park in Oklahoma, these were family vacations, but then if somebody was having a birthday, you've hosted a birthday in their club room and things like that. So, these kinds of resorts, I always think people go, hey, that's a really good way to get our wedding together, have our best friends and family there,
Yes.
whether it's girls' night out or it could be a yoga retreat or, just a bunch of single women, going off and, having their time.
Right. This would
when
be
you
so
talk about
perfect.
it being safe, I was thinking that like women
Yes, for all of that. Yeah, I don't think that you could be in a safer place. It's just a small island and everybody knows everybody. And there's about 10 churches there, just the nicest, best people ever. And they just offer so much for anything like that you're going to do. Of course, they also have a very nice equipped gym and pickleball courts, which are, so popular now. And they even have a kids club, which I was surprised at because I felt like it's kind of more typically adult oriented, but they do also definitely cater to children. As I delved a little deeper into it, I found all kind of cool things for kids there. So you could definitely take your children or your grandchildren and have a grand time and get to have a lot of wonderful experiences.
So this could be a multi-generational family reunion destination.
It could. Yeah, it could be. And I mean, I don't know if I mentioned, I may have, but they have 4 different pools there and then all of them, like overlook the beach and the ocean.
So
So
you could be
that's,
lazy and hang out together, which I think is
gosh,
great. For vacations, like play a game together. Put the phone down, get the game out,
yes. Yeah,
right?
they have, they have cabanas, they have food and beverage service right there at the pool, and have the
Cool.
infinity pool where you can sit in this one area. You don't even see the beach. It goes straight. If you're in this one particular area, the elevated pool, if you're sitting there, the pool just runs straight into the ocean visually, which is,
Nice.
which
That's
is pretty
wild.
cool.
That's wild. So the one thing I wanted to talk about is nature and the environment.
Yes.
I want to talk about wild donkeys and horses because that is,
Hmm.
part of my heart soul there. But also go back to sustainability because when we talk about new resorts being open, a lot of people first thing is like, well, was this a sustainable practice? And it sounds like a beautiful place. And when yoga practice and things like that are happening, we're all hoping that the nature actually is, the resort understands that they don't have a resort if they don't take care of the nature. And it sounds to me like
Yes.
they understand that, right? Like, know it.
Right. I cannot stress enough. I have never been to a resort hotel property that takes sustainability so seriously. They absolutely do. I'm telling you, there was not anything plastic around there. Number one, not water bottles, not even a plastic trash can. My trash can was made out of wood in my room. They really take it serious at Salterra. So it's sustainability there. It's not just a gesture. It's a promise to the island that
Mhm.
they call home, and every aspect of that resort is designed with care for the environment. And I was very, very impressed with that because, they really, it's luxurious, but it's also a very strong commitment and responsibility that you see goes hand in hand there, preserving the beauty of the Turks and Caicos for everyone and for certainly generations to come. And I loved that respect and commitment that they had there.
Well, I love that we're talking about this because I think it's, the islands, when we talk about what's going on in climate change and the environment and everything, the islands, they're really the ones that we need to watch out for. And they're taking the initiative more than some of our bigger countries. So as travelers, I think we can learn from them a little bit of what they're doing and take it home and do those practices to help them back. I'm just saying,
Yes.
it's
Yes. Well, I love too that they have something there, Lisa, called Adventures by Salterra. And this was something really unique that there again goes into sustainability. So these are adventures that you can have, and you can have either a Salterra sustainability initiative experience, or you can just have a Salterra signature experience. So they have both. So this is, I guess you would call it like a department, but it has its own building near the resort that you just walk to. And the couple that oversee it were the nicest people in the world. It's so funny. I mean, they're like originally from somewhere in the Midwest. Well, I think he's actually from Britain, but I think she was like from Indiana or something. They have biology degrees and backgrounds and are extremely professional and knowledgeable about sustainability and
awesome.
marine life. And they were the best guides. But this is, I think I mentioned that Salterra, it is a luxury collection with Marriott Bonvoy. And this program that they have there, Adventures by Salterra, this is kind of a prototype for Marriott because there's no Marriott properties that has their own entire in-house adventure area that can totally offer everything from A to Z, including all your equipment. You don't have to go anywhere for it. And they are suited up for anything and everything that you can imagine. And
Snorkeling?
I'm sorry.
Can I go snorkeling?
Yes. Yeah. Can I tell you about a few of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're just, it's just, you can just discover endless adventures here and craft your own, perfect day for your stay there. So it's a very curated experience there, as you can really immerse yourself outside of the resort, around the island, into the water, the land. They have thought of everything, and they have the people to take you on it that are super familiar and professional with the area, and then they have the best of equipment. So yes, they have a huge reef there. So it's they have great snorkeling and scuba diving right there on the reef. And if you don't know how to snorkel or if you don't know how to scuba dive, they will teach you. So they just do everything. They have guided paddling on paddle boards. Seasonally, they have whale watching expeditions, which I would love. I've never done that. I would love that.
Cool.
But they actually have something called a Scuba Dive Academy there, so you can get a resort certification. They have Snorkel for a Cause and Scuba for a Cause, and that goes into that sustainability program I was telling you about. I thought that was cool. They have private adventure voyages, and they have multiple different boats there, kayaking tours, sunset cruise. Of course, they have all the gear rental. Have you ever heard of kiteboarding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a trip. That's a trip.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't quite brave enough to do that, but maybe one day.
Come on, you can do it. You can do it. I don't
Yeah,
know, man. I still want to live.
Yeah. I'm afraid I would take off and be in Puerto Rico before I knew it.
Yeah. No, you won't. But
I thought maybe not, but I love this. Of course, they have this, sunset cruise, but you can have a private picnic getaway on one of the keys there, which, the key is kind of like a tiny little island. So, they will, down to the champagne you want. They totally curate this to whatever you desire. They have this bone fishing. I didn't know anything about it. It was, if you don't know what bone fishing is, you're just going to have to look it up. It is something else, but it's a very different kind of fishing. And it's one of the few places in the world that they have this. And speaking of fishing, South Caicos is actually like an angler's paradise. They have anglers from around the world that come here or have it on their bucket list. And then they do fly fishing. They do fly fishing demonstrations. They do fly fishing tying, or the fly tying, I think they call it. So, you can make your own flies. That's pretty cool. They have guided bird watching tours. Unfortunately, when we were there, the flamingos weren't there, but they have those beautiful American flamingos that, and they're all over like around the salt flats. And I can only imagine how gorgeous that would be to have seen them. Guess where they were? They were in the Bahamas. Once a year, they go to the Bahamas in the spring, and they stay there for about a month, and then they come back to South Caicos. Isn't that crazy? But that's just part of their migration thing. And then they have, guided mountain and biking adventures. And then they have the South Caicos salt experience, where you can have somebody actually walk with you around the salt flats and learn all about that. So did I get to tell you at all about my personal experience with the Caicos Bay adventure? Yeah, well, that's just something that you see around the island, and that is just a remnant left over from all the salt mining they used to do there. So that's kind of fun. You'll just be a donkey every once in a while. I did see 2 horses, and I saw about 5 or 6 donkeys.
Wow, how cool. It's cool to see them.
Yes, but I saw something I've never seen before on our adventure, and that was starfish. And they have this place that we went to, Lisa, that's called Starfish Alley. And I saw starfish, just hundreds of them. So we go out in the ocean. I've never experienced anything like this where we go out, but yet we're almost like on a sandbar or something. I don't know. It was like maybe 3 feet deep, but like you look like you're in the middle of the ocean. Isn't that crazy? So we're just walking around out there, and it's starfish, these big cushion starfish that I don't even know how to explain how big they are. Maybe across maybe be like 6, 7 inches, like big ones in all different colors. And of course, we didn't pick them up or anything, but we could easily take pictures of them, and you just walk around this whole area and see all these starfish. And then from there, we went over to Long Key, and we could hike it up to a hill and see the other side of the water there, which you see so many different hues of blue, from, just almost clear water to like this deep cobalt blue. And this is one thing I was not expecting. They had iguanas all over that island, small ones.
Awesome. That's awesome. Gotta have the nature. You have to have the nature. It sounds like you had a little bit of everything, a little nature. You had good, fresh, healthy food. You had spa treatments, yoga at sunrise, awesome accommodations, swimming pools, food, fabulous food, an easy flight. I mean, this sounds like a good destination for everybody.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you can tell I didn't want to come back. Just like, I mean, they totally spoil you at Salterra.
Well, that
They
is
do.
awesome. That is awesome. So everyone, Terri is here every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Central Time. So stay tuned for next week. Who knows where she's taking us, because she's always somewhere else. So thanks so much, Terri.
Thank you, Lisa, for letting me get to share this wonderful experience that I had at Salterra in the South Caicos.
Thanks for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Travel with Terri podcast. New episodes air every fourth Monday at 6 p.m. Central Time. You can follow Terri's adventures at travelwithterri.net, and that's Terri with an I, not a Y. Follow us here at bigblendradio.com. Happy travels!